I would like to thank first to the Library of Hong Kong UST for allowing me to lend some of my collections to organize this exhibition. And also, this exhibition covers really a long period from the Neolithic period, 6,000 years ago, till Qing dynasty, 200 years ago. So the covering period is quite long, and there are a number of exhibits, more than 120 pieces being exhibited here. And apart from some ceramics, we have some brick carvings located there, as well as another stone carvings, and even some stone carvings from a famous Buddhist xian, which was made during the Tang dynasty. And all these things we are going to talk about will be about the Chinese art history. And also I have exhibit some of my books over there, and one of them have been published quite long ago by British Collections Society, Burlington Fine Arts Club, in 1911, already more than 100 years ago. Yeah. So why not we just start over here? We just firstly talk about the Neolithic pottery. Now, this exhibition, what we call is ancient Chinese ceramics. Ceramics is actually a big family, which consists of at least 3 family members. One is pottery, the other is stoneware, and also, last but not the least, porcelain. Yeah. So we better use the broad meaning of pottery or porcelain to include them. We just use the word ceramics. Yeah. Pottery, which means the firing temperature is relatively low, is about 600 to 800 degrees Celsius, and the density of the clay which was made such kind of vessels is quite low. They have low density, the clay. And for the stoneware, the density of the clay is relatively high. And the firing temperature is about more than 1,000 degrees Celsius to 1,300 degrees Celsius. This is what we call stoneware, which was invented by the Chinese during the Western Zhou period, already 3,000 years ago. And the porcelain, in the modern sense, which means the clay, the body of each vessel is preferably to be very white, a white clay. They use the white clay porcelain stone to make such kind of vessels. The first, and the second is the firing temperature. They raise the firing temperature from 1,300 degrees Celsius to 1,003 degrees Celsius minimum. And then sometimes we can discover in the modern times the ceramics, the firing temperature of the ceramics can even be make it higher to 1,500 degrees Celsius, like the exhibits located in the ground floor of this library. Yeah. And then these are the 3 members in this big ceramic family. And in the modern sense, the porcelain was made during Tang dynasty, which means the technological development in China went far beyond the world, the other countries, in terms of making these kind of things. The porcelain in the modern sense, which was made in Tang dynasty, as what I have said, in Europe, the first factory that made porcelain was in Germany. It's called Meissen. It was the first piece of porcelain which was made in Europe was in 17th to early 18th century. But however, the materials which they make such kind of thing was imported from China. Yeah, which means Chinese has a long heritage of ceramic making. Yeah, and the first cabinet I would like to introduce is this one. You can see, you can walk over it. Yeah. This one, all are the potteries made by different potters in different periods. We can see that's that one like a pear-shaped vessel. It was made in 6,000 years ago near the Yangtze River. When we join a tour, when we join a guided tour in Xian, they can spend a lot of time to introduce why there's such kind of thing. They were actually using the clay near the Yangtze River to make such kind of pottery. Yeah, and the clay after they made the clay, they polished them. That's why they have a very smooth surface.
And was that thrown on a wheel?
Not yet.
Yeah,
not
so
yet. Yeah, so they just have a very advanced technology. Yeah, and apart from that, we have something near the Gansu region. Yeah, Gansu region, they just use some plant or some colorful minerals to paint it and draw some pictures over the surface, and then before putting it into the firing kiln. Yeah, that's why no wonder the color didn't fade out throughout the long history of time. And we then have some other kilns located in the northeastern part of China. Yeah, these are the things that they were made during the 3000 BC. Yeah, already 5,000 years ago. What we can see is a steam cup for drinking wine. Yeah, for drinking wine. And also we can discover some other tripods which aim at during that time, which aim at carrying the wine as well as some wine cup, which was made 2000 BC. Yeah, and if we look at it into detail, we can see some seats. You can see some black dots over the body. It was actually the seats. Yeah, they just mix up everything to make this kind of pottery. So it is no surprise that we can see some seats still left there. Yeah. And then after this long period, I regarded this as a dawn of Chinese culture before the formal Chinese history begins. Yeah. And during the Warring States period, therefore about 400 BC, in the southern part of China near the Yangtze River, we have some potteries, high fire potteries, which they raise the temperature from 800 degrees Celsius to nearly 1,000 degrees Celsius. Yeah. These kind of things were I think they were not for practical use, but they were used for burial accessories. They were for burial accessories. These kind of things, but we can see they were finally made. And in the northwestern part of China, after the Warring States period, we have Qin dynasty. We have Qin, a state called Qin dynasty. Qin, and which they later, what we call Qin dynasty, the first dynasty which united China in 221 BC. Yeah. This one was one of the finest pottery which was made during the first emperor of China. Yeah. And then we have another thing. We have a black pottery jar with two handles, which imitates the shape of the bird, a big bird. You can see the beak and also the two wings. And sometimes what we call these are the eyes of the creature. Yeah. They just mythically carved the bird or the spirit into the pots which they made 2,000 years ago in Sichuan. You know, Sichuan province, the region, the southwestern part of China was such a mysterious region, just because the Yangtze River and some of the high mountains and the valleys just separated with just isolated, form an isolated region in that part of China. As a businessman or as a merchant during that time, it is quite difficult to travel from the central part of China, the Central Plain, to that kind of region. No wonder these kind of things can preserve their own nomadic culture. Yeah. And after the unification of China in Han Dynasty, they started to make such kind of green glaze objects. You know, green glaze objects, the glaze which they used was actually copper oxide, which was quite transparent before firing, and they input the glaze, use the glaze to cover the body, and then use a relatively low temperature, 800 to 1,000 degrees Celsius, to fire it. After such kind of relatively low temperature, they begin to the color begin to turn green. They turn green, and on this vessel we can see there's a different creatures and different animals being molded on the vessel itself. We can see an animal, the first elephant with a groom, a camel with also a groom, a tiger, a peacock, or even a deer. Those kind of animals were from different countries or different parts of the world. How they can be integrated in one single scene, which means during that time in Han Dynasty, this one was made in the central plain of China, which proved that some countries like India, which elephants live in, camel, northwestern part of China, different parts of the world become the businessman, the merchant from different parts of the world just gather in the capital, Luoyang or Xian during Han Dynasty, which means China was in prosperity, and the Silk Road was well developed during that 2,000 years ago, that time of China. We have a dragon hat, which with a pearl, and then a dragon head spoon. This is one of the oldest record of the dragon in the Chinese sense. Yeah, these are roughly the early ancient pottery in the Chinese history. Apart from this, we have some other things. We have a we have porcelainless like stoneware. These are the stoneware, what we call a proto-celadon. These kind of things are used to carry the wine. Actually, they were decanters. Yeah, they were decanters. It proved that our ancestors just had a high standard of drinking wine. They had a high standard of wine appreciation during that time. Yeah, they even use a decanter 3,000 years ago. Yeah, and these kind of things, we can't tell you that it is a pottery, but it is definitely a kind of stoneware, just because the firing temperature of these things are very high, just above 1,100 degrees Celsius. And they discover, during that time, they discover the using of glaze occasionally, accidentally, just because in the kiln, inside the kiln, they use the clay, they use some kind of plants, they use some kinds of organic compounds, organic things to make the clay. To make the clay, and then they use the clay to build a kiln. But after a continuous firing, the clay inside, or the plants inside the clay become melt. They melt, and then they form some liquid, transparent liquid, and then drop it on the body occasionally. And when our ancestors discover these kind of things, they said, oh, they have an aesthetic sense, and also if we cover the raw body with glaze, it is easy to clean. It is easy to clean rather than such kind of raw materials. It is relatively difficult to clean such kind of things. So they just massively produce such kind of thing 3,000 years ago, and continue this kind of production method continuously developed throughout the history of China until now. And these are the proto-celadon. Celadon in Chinese means the green stoneware. The green stoneware. It is a French. And after the Western Zhou period, this was exclusively made in the region near the Yangtze River. As what I have said, in the Yangtze River, near the Yangtze River in the southern part of China, near the Zhejiang province. Near the Zhejiang province, we can easily discover some clay with relatively high density. Just like what I have mentioned in the Warring States period, the small hi-fi pottery which was found in the Warring States period, and they have proto-celadon, the stoneware. Apart from this, this region continuously produced a lot of high-quality, high-fire celadon throughout the Chinese history, like this one. These were made during the 3rd to 4th century in China, in the same region. These kind of things we can see a chicken coop, which was very cute, and you see what's the purpose it was. It served for the burial accessories. It served as burial accessory, which burial along with the dead body. They serve as they use such kind of thing which prove that the dead body, the deceased, was in very high social status, during that time. And I would like to raise a question that why they use such kind of high quality things to bury along with the dead body. Can you tell me the reason?
To show honor?
To show honor.
Yeah, it's maybe also to provide for them, just like nowadays people will burn paper houses and paper money.
Oh yeah, but during that time, paper things were not so popular.
So they had clay.
Yeah, they have clay. Yeah, but given the fact that one piece of such kind of burial accessories, which is as expensive as a land with 10 square meters, which is relatively very expensive during that time. But they still use that as a burial accessories, but not for practical use. The reason behind is that they regarded everyone, I still believe this kind of theory. When I just live in the world for about 80 to 100 years, hopefully. But my life after death must be longer, much longer. You know, the people living in, say for example, Jin dynasty only for 50 or 60 years, averagely. But their life after death is still going. Is still going, have been going since Jin dynasty till now. That's why they can use such kind of expensive things to bury along with them, to make them more wealthy for the rest of their afterlife. Yeah, that's why we can simply explain this by their theory. And we have the candle holder and also some cup with a stand, and then even in Tang dynasty we still have the celadon, which was made in the same region and regarded by one of the famous scholars, Lu Yu, the tea scholar, the tea master in Tang dynasty. He wrote a book called the Canon of Tea, Cha Kinh, Canon of Tea. He just ranked the different kinds of ceramics in the Tang dynasty, and he ranked Yue Yao, the celadon, he ranked it as a first. Among other porcelain or other ceramic made by different kilns. So they highly recommend the people use the Yue Yao. The Yue Yao means this is the celadon being made in the Zhejiang province. Yue means Yuguo. It was the place used to describe that region just because there was a state in Warring States period called Yue. Yeah, that what we call Yue Yao. Yue Yao means Yue ware or Yue celadon from the Yue kiln. Yeah, they rank these kind of things the first, and this Eva is very rare just because apart from the Eva, we can see the original cover, which was excavated along with this kind of this object. Yeah, this is very rare, and also this one is also rare. A melon shape. The melon shape was inspired by the imported silver items, silver vessel, which was made in the Roman Empire or the Sasanian Empire during the 6th to 7th century. Yeah, we can see the two Chinese characters means the fourth, 第四, the fourth, which carved it before inputting the glaze on the body. The word the fourth means it must have the first, the third, the second, the third, the fourth. They have been used by the very eminent or a prominent nobleman, yeah, which they have so many such kind of things, and they need to write down the number to indicate the size, yeah, the size of each vessel, and all these things were very impressive, even in Japan in the 15th to 16th century during the Momoyama period. They use they got inspired from such kind of a celadon, and finally they make this cup for drinking sake, the Japanese wine. This one is not a Chinese antique, but a Japanese. Yeah, you can see the similarities between this one and the rest of that. Yeah, and this is a brief introduction for the celadon, which was made in southern part of China. And moreover, we can see the northern part of China, how it develops in the medieval times. These things were made during the northern dynasties, which constitutes the highlights of this exhibition. Yeah, a special point that I would like to note is the clay that they used during that time was a white clay with relatively high density during that time, and these are the high fire pottery in the northern dynasties during the 5th to 6th century of China, in China, and these are the incense burner. They just power something inside, and then some smelty smoke. They will go out. They will go outside, yeah. And then they started to use the glaze, use the lead glaze, just what we introduced in the Han Dynasty, the green objects. Apart from using the green glaze, they started to use the yellow glaze. The yellow glaze, which means they were made from the iron oxide, which is quite different from the green glaze, which they, for the green glaze, we use copper oxide as the colorant, yeah, firing colorant. If we apply such kind of translucent green glaze and the yellow glaze on the same vessel and fire it under a relatively low temperature, say below 1,000 degrees Celsius, it can be like this or later be like this. These are the tricolor vessels which, made during the Tang Dynasty, and what we call 同三彩, 三彩 objects. 三彩. We are in some museums, say the Metropolitan Museum or the British Museum, we can see the word 三彩, S-A-N-C-A-I. The 三彩 means tricolor. In Chinese, 3 means many. Yeah. So the 三彩, the tricolor, is not only consists of only 3 colors, but also they include blue or even purple in that sense. Yeah. What we have exhibit here at the vessel, you can see such kind of thing. They just got the inspiration from the vase. The small miniature jars with 4 handles, which the shape was quite similar to those we discovered in in the Greek culture or the Roman culture. Yeah. And we have the vessel, whistle. This is a musical instrument, the whistle, to blow some air inside, and then they have some sound over there. And another point I would like to note is these kind of things, the blue one, the cobalt blue. The cobalt blue mineral stone was not native to China. In China, they were brought by the merchant from the Middle East to China through the Silk Road, which means such kind of things were the foreign imports, and thus they were very expensive in that sense. And these 2 things were quite rare, just because they use a very rich cobalt blue to decorate the 2 cups. Yeah, which indicates the rapid growth, business growth, or the rapid cultural exchange between China and the West. Yeah. And also another point I would like to note is this is what we call a marble body tripod dish, as well as a cup. This is very difficult to have it made during that time, as the firing temperature or the different kind. This was made by just mixing the clay with dark brown color with the clay with a lighter white color. They mix it together. And then fire it under the same temperature, since they just mix together. But the expansion level of of the clay, as they were different, was very different at the expansion level. So many of it has been just form an irregular shape after firing. This was a very occasionally and very surprisingly they just keep the size after firing. We were very surprised just because of this, and thus they were very rare during the time and even now. Yeah. After introducing the making of the tricolor objects during the Tang Dynasty, one surprising thing that I would like to share with you is item 52, this big bowl. This is not a Chinese artifact. This was made in 9th to 10th century by the Islamic Empire, which we discovered, which this bowl was actually discovered by somebody in Iran. They just excavated from Iran, and we can see there's kind of a communication between the making of three colors objects, yeah, in the medieval world, yeah. And these are the Sanchai pottery, yeah. And in the northern region of China, apart from making the Sanchai or the high fire pottery objects, we have some primitive proto-porcelain, which was made during that time. These kind of proto-porcelain, they use the clay with a even higher density than such kind of high fire pottery, and they also use some special kilns which raise the firing temperature to 1,300 degrees Celsius. This, and they successfully make these kind of things, this kind of primitive or proto porcelain, and we can see the body of each item is the wall of the body is very thin. It's very thin, and they started to fire black glaze objects during the time. So in some textbook which talks about the development of Chinese ceramics, they often said, in the southern part of region during the medieval China, they fire celadon, green glaze objects, whereas the northern part of China, they solely fire the white glaze objects. But it wasn't true. It wasn't true, just because we can discover some black glaze objects all over the northern part of China. Yeah, they are relatively rarer. They are rare, but we still cannot neglect their existence during that time. And some other things which I would like to introduce is two tiger head era, which was made during medieval China during the 4th to 6th century in the southern part of China. They just used the celadon clay to make it. And you guess what is used for? I just said, this is a small Yao celadon tiger head eva. It is actually a urinal. Yeah, urinal. According to some historical documents, they were placed near the bed of rich gentlemen. And whenever, the house during that time was so big, and they even, when they have a desire to go to toilet, yeah, they still need to walk for a long distance. To avoid that, they make these kind of things. But I can't believe they use the tiger, the mouth of the tiger to make this kind of urinal. Urinal. Yeah, it is quite a mythical story. It is indeed. This is not actually a tiger, but a tiger with two wings. A tiger with two wings and a tiger with a horn, over his head, and a long tail, which constitute is the handle. Yeah. These are the very, very strange beings during that time. And these are the medieval things. Apart from this one, I would also like to introduce the lion, the culture of lion, the lion culture in China, in medieval China. Lions were not native throughout the Chinese history. They were the foreign creatures which was imported by some foreigners as a tribute to the Chinese emperor during that time. And the craftsmanship of lion was not very realistic, was unrealistic during that time until the year AD 649, when the Chinese first saw a kind of some kinds of lion, which was paid as tribute from Samarkand, from the Middle East, to the Chinese emperor, the second emperor of the Tang dynasty, Tong Taizong, the Taizong. That's why in the Jin dynasty you can discover such kind of a lion motif. It is not quite realistic, like a monster they craft. Yeah. But afterwards, in the Tang dynasty, we can see a lion which was made by the craftsmen in Hunan province. Hunan is located in the central region of the Yangtze River. Yeah. The lion was crafted as a water pot, which served as carry the water for powering it into a brush washer for the intellectuals to wash their ink pen. It proved that even in Hunan region, this is quite far away from the capital of Tang dynasty. Still, so many they still have intellectuals over there, yeah, to write some serious. They still have wealthy intellectuals with high social status to use such kind of thing as an artwork. Yeah. And even in Jin dynasty is a dynasty founded by the nomadic tribes from northeastern part of China. They just craft the lion realistically with a ribbon ball. According to some scholar, the lion with the ribbon ball actually is a very celebrated picture or a celebrated motif even in nowadays China, in China nowadays, which means power as well as the ribbon ball means wealthy, power and wealthy. This is a kind of a blessing words of that, and I think these kind of logos during that time was made during the early period of Liao dynasty in 10th century. Yeah. I'm not the first scholar who advocates such kind of academic discourse. The first one who tried to trace back the origin of this kind of motif was a Swiss scholar, Regina Carl. Yeah. She just discovered a silk fragment excavated in the northern part of China from 10th century. It shows that the earliest logo of lion with a ribbon ball. Yeah, this was made and widely spread all over the region of China from 10th century till now. Yeah, and when we talk about lion, we still have to make an introduction about the making of this kind of amphora, which imitates the shape of a Greek vessel, ancient Greek vessel or ancient Roman vessel. This is an amphora which we can see with a dragon handle, as well as with a lion decoration, which is quite realistic. It proved that the craftsmen saw the real lions right before they make such kind of vessel. Yeah, and we can see a plaque, just like some Islamic influence. Yeah, and with a dragon handle, it is a Chinese style. When I was small, I attend some exhibitions in Hong Kong, Tsim Sha Tsui, the art museum. I was told that such kind of emperor, the shape was just influenced by the pottery, which was made in ancient Greek and ancient Roman. I still believe that was the fact. But after I grown up, I traveled to Britain, and finally I acquired these ancient Roman glass objects, yeah, which is quite similar with the handle, with the shape. These are the glass. In China, they are not good at firing or blowing in such kind of glass, yeah, but they have a technology. They have the technology since Han Dynasty, 2,000 years ago. They have the technology of firing such kind of transparent glass. But they have ceramic, so they no need to make such kind of glass. Just because ceramics, when we power some hot water over there, when we hold this kind of ceramic vessel with the hot water, we still not feel so hot when compared with holding a glass cup. Yeah, the first point. The second point is when we break a very expensive ceramic, you can easily have them repaired. But when we break a glass, which means the glass cannot be repaired. So using this kind of ceramic vessel is better than this one. Yeah, during that time, and but they think with the transparent, translucent nature of the glass, many Chinese, particularly the noblemen, will get attracted. That's why they just the merchant from the Roman Empire just brought this to the Silk Road to the Chinese region and show them in front of the noblemen, and they become attracted. Maybe during that time, maybe they use this one as an inspiration to make the later emperor. This was made during the 5th century, and this one, which was made in 7th century, 200 years later. Yeah, you can see the comparison. And also, when we talk about lion, we can talk about this one. This one, a lion, and also some applied decorations over there. This was made in also in medieval China. This was made in 6th to 7th century in China. This is a big vessel with yellow glaze. You can see the lion was not quite realistic. It proved that this kind of lion were made before the craftsmen see the real lion. Yeah. This one was later. This one is earlier, and this is a kind of thing, a very big tray with 4 cups and 1 bowl. You can see the lotus decoration in the middle of the big dish. This proved that lion as well as flowers were also two important patterns in the Buddhist decoration. Lion, which means the lion in India, the lion often sit near the Buddha and use their shouting, the roar, to spread the message of Buddha or the Buddha. And the lion, which means was a sacred animal in the Buddhist canon. And so the Buddhism thought was transferred to the Chinese during Han Dynasty, and they began to imagine. So just because at that time we still don't have photograph, they just saw the Buddhist scripts and imagined the face of the lion, and then use their imagination to create such kind of thing, which are quite not very similar to those realistic real lion in the modern world. Yeah. And this one is also a very old ceramic. It is a proto-Celadon bell made in Warring States period. This is also from the region near the Zhejiang province, near the Yangtze River, southern part of China. They use this kind of high fire stoneware to make this ritual being. Yeah. This is actually an imitation of a bronze bell, and the purpose of it was a burial accessories also. It proved that the region, even the southern part of region, which was quite far away from what the central plains locate. The Confucianism in the ancient China, the origin of Confucianism was in Shandong, the northeastern part of China, and then spread over the Wanghe River. But we can't imagine that a Confucius ritual practice was also can be found in the southern part of region. This is the evidence. They just use these to practice the Confucius ritual procedure. Yeah. So these kind of things which we can prove in China, they can spread the ritual beings all over the region. And when we talk about medieval China, I still cannot neglect the importances of the Buddhism development during that time. In our eyes, we have two stone carvings. One is a fragment which shows two apsaras. Apsaras is an Indian word which means the angel with the Buddha. It's an angel with a Buddha. You can see the musical instruments was actually imported from the West. Yeah, you can see some similar figures holding these kind of musical instruments in Greek. In some pottery figures in the Greek, when you travel to Louvre, they have a very rich collection of such kind of pottery figurines. Yeah. And this one it has been removed. It has been removed by the Japanese, I think, during the Republican China over 80 years ago, 8 decades ago. Yeah. And then they just secretly transferred it to Japan and so the Japanese kept this kind of hat for for nearly a century. This is not a Buddhist hat. This is a donor's hat. It proved that the women during the Tang dynasty had a very high social status. They were rich. They had a high social status. They just used the money to sponsor the Longmen Cave. If we join the Chinese guided tour, when we travel to the Henan near Wanghe River, the Yellow River, Henan, we can see there's a number of Buddhist caves located in the city near Luoyang, and we can see those kind of Buddhist hat still remains. And these kind of stone cave, Buddhist stone cave in Luoyang was elected as a intangible cultural asset by the UNESCO, the World UNESCO, United Nations, 10 years ago. Yep. That's why it carries a very rich cultural heritage meaning. Yep. And this is very rare just because of its role. It is not a Buddha. We can discover many Buddhist hats, but it is very rare to discover a donor's hat. Yeah, this is a donor's hat. It carved like a Buddha. This is one of the purpose of or one of the aim of being of the original female donor. She think that her action of donating such kind of Buddhist stone carvings was actually an action, a very philanthropy action. That's why she regarded herself as a Buddha, maybe. Yeah. And after the fall of the Tang dynasty, we have the last part of this exhibition, the Song and Yun and Ming dynasty. During the Song dynasty, we have a very monopolized region of making high quality porcelain. This is Jingdezhen, Jingdezhen. When we describe Jingdezhen, it is not surprise to tell everyone that it is the capital of porcelain making industry. Since Song dynasty, the word Jingde was actually the name of the emperor, the third emperor of Song dynasty, Jingde. In Jingdezhen, we have a fine white porcelain stone being discovered throughout the history of China since Song dynasty, and we have these kind of things, very high quality porcelain. We have the incense burner, we have the Eva with cover, which is very rare, and we have both molded and carved patterns, dishes, as well as the brush washers. We have so many things, and we have this jar with cover, which used to carry the tea powder, tea powder. Yeah. And during the Song dynasty, they just use such kind of glaze to imitate the brightness of jade. They just imitate the brightness of jade to make this kind of porcelain. And then throughout the Song dynasty, and then after Song dynasty, we have Yun dynasty. In Yun dynasty, they started to make the vessel with a white color rather than the bluish glaze. The reason behind was that the Mongolians like the white color. They regard the white color as one of their lucky colors, and they found it was highly related to the Dalai Lama, from the Tibet region. The Dalai Lama just regarded white as the lucky color in the religion. That's why the Yun noblemen started to use this kind of thing to decorate their porcelain. And they started to, as the Yun dynasty and the Mongolian emperor was so large that they finally conquered the Persian region, the Arabian Peninsula, including Iran. That's why they can secure the supply of cobalt blue, the blue mineral stone, from Iran through the Silk Road or the original Silk Road, from there to arrive at Jingdezhen, which means Jingdezhen during that time was an entry port. Was an entry port in nature, just because the merchant from Middle East just brought the original raw materials of cobalt blue mineral stones from there to Jingdezhen, and asked the Jingdezhen porters to make such kind of things, such kind of a blue and white ceramic. And then after the completion, they have three kind of markets. One is to bring it back to bring it back to the Middle East, the big dish, to bring it back to serve the Muslims for their daily use. And the second market is the second line is to serve for the mainland use. The mainland use, we can see some excavations, archaeological sites in even Beijing. They have some Yun blue and white items over there. which means they travel from Xinjiang, southern part of China, to the northern part to supply, to bring it to the nobleman during that time. You know, the capital of Yuan dynasty was in Beijing. Yeah. And also the third market line is, market group is the one living in Southeast Asia. In the southeastern part of Asia, we can discover such kind of things, such kind of more small things. The purpose of making this small blue and white vessel was to carry the curry powder. The curry powder, or for the tea powder for the Japanese. For carrying the tea powder for the Japanese either, or for the carrying the curry powder during that time. And we can even discover such kind of thing with blue and white glaze in Vietnam. This is not a Chinese antique again, it is a Vietnam. This is a small water dropper from Vietnam, also served for carrying some powder, yeah, or some perfume during that time. You can see the blue was not as shiny, as sharp as the one made in Yuan dynasty, by using the cobalt blue from the Middle East. And apart from the blue and white porcelain, we have copper red. The making of copper red, I think, was a breakthrough of using these kind of things. It was very difficult to make this kind of copper red vessel during Yuan dynasty 700 years ago. It's because the firing temperature of this thing was quite high, about 1,300 degrees Celsius or even more. They just use copper oxide to decorate the whole bowl, the whole cup. But, you know, as what I have mentioned, the copper oxide under low temperature, it can be fired in a green color. But if we raise up the temperature more than 1,300 degrees Celsius, the color will turn black instead of red. And if we fire the temperature in exactly 1,300 degrees Celsius, we can eventually get a red pigment over there, get a red color. So we can explain how it was very difficult, as during that time we don't have thermometer to measure the firing temperature during that time, and it is by trial and error to make such kind of completed objects. The ratio of the successful rates of making this kind of things were very extremely low. Furthermore, we have during the Song and Yuan dynasty, we have Longchuan kilns, Longchuan ware in Zhejiang to replace the making of celadon during the Yueyao. The Yueyao, we have some distinction between Yueyao and Longchuan celadon. The Longchuan celadon, you can see the body of each vessel was very thick instead of the thin body, and the glaze of Longchuan celadon was also very thick, and also just like a very juicy one, just like a fruit, just like an apple, which is very relatively shiny than the one we talk about in Tang dynasty. The word celadon was very strange. The word celadon. Celadon is a French, which was the name of one of the character in 16th century. You know, in 16th century in France, in Paris, they have theater to have a drama, and one of the character called Celadon, and who was very handsome, a very handsome guy. During the broadcast of that film, of that theater, of that drama, during the same time, many high quality celadon were imported from China to Paris. And during that time, when they see such kind of such kind of a green vessel, they just use the handsome guy's name, Celadon, to describe this kind of objects. Just because the handsome guy like wearing the green color clothes. Yeah. So they have a correlation between the handsome guy and also the beautiful porcelain, stoneware. And when I went to Paris some years ago, I visited Versailles and I visited the bedroom of Louis XIV, and I saw two big Celadon vases were put near his bed, in his bedroom. It proved that even the French king Louis XIV was the fan of these kind of high quality made objects. Yeah, and I also put for comparison. I also put one stone jar, which is quite similar to the Longchuan Celadon miniature jars with cracking glaze. Yeah, I just put it for comparison. This one, of course, the shape was quite very nice, a nice shape, and this was excavated in Afghanistan, and it was made 4,000 years ago. Yeah, this limestone stoneware jar. And then after introducing the southern part of China, I would like to introduce the porcelain manufacturing industry in the northern part of China during the Song dynasty. We have Ding. It was made in 10th century to 12th century, northern Song dynasty to the Jin dynasty later. It was a white porcelainous object which exclusively served the noblemen during that time. And we can see on these two whiteware dish, on the bottom, on the base, we can see a handwritten word, guan. Guan means official, which means for official use, during the 10th century. And then we have a water dropper, and we have some other things which is very attractive during that time. This is a miniature things with a real bigger era. It served as a warmer bowl. It's a warm bowl, which means we power some hot water over the bowl and put the eva inside to keep the wine warmer in winter during that time. Yeah, this is obviously a imitation. It is only a water dropper for the intellectuals to write something and then power some water onto the brush washer to wash the pen. Yeah. And what I would also like to pass the message during this exhibition is that in the standard textbook about the porcelain industry development in the Song dynasty, one would often say that, the northern part of China fire again white porcelain, whereas the southern part of China fire Celadon, like what I have shared with you just some minutes ago. But I can discover some Celadon in the northern part of China, like Shanxi, in the Shanxi region near the xian. We can discover such kind of Celadon which was made during northern Song dynasty, and we can discover some white porcelain in the southern part of China. Yeah, so the Celadon were made all over China, not only the southern part, and the whiteware were made all over China, not only the northern part. We can discover a cosmetic box with some lotus mold design over the cover. These kind of things which was excavated in Fujian province, Fujian. And later, after their long development, they became the blanc de Chine, Dakfa Bakji, also called Bom China, which was made in the late 17th century to early 18th century for the export purpose. So everybody would get particularly the Europeans, would get familiar with these kind of objects. They just use this to describe China. That's why we can say, oh, this is China, to use porcelain to represent Chinese. Yeah, this is the symbol. This was the symbol during that time. And number 98 is a cup for eating soba in Japanese. Yeah, among the Japanese. It was made in the early to middle Edo period. This was the product they made after they got the inspiration from the Chinese blanc de Chine and also the white porcelainers making technique. They just got a technique and finally make such kind of thing. Yeah. And for the folkmen, for the normal citizens in China, in Song Dynasty China, they just use the thing which I regarded it as one of the modern pieces I collect. Yeah, this is quite modern. I think you can see the carving, like the lines, like the drawings, like the Impressionists, like the Surrealism, like the Picasso carvings. You can see, but I can't imagine it was made 1,000 years ago in medieval China, in the later part of medieval China. Yeah. And last but not the least, I would like to share with you some, make a note of the culture of drinking tea among the Chinese, medieval Chinese. As a color of the tea is brown, regarded by if we go to the tea house in Hong Kong, we can see drinking tea. They are in brown color, but during that time they just use the tea powder, just like what Japanese made this kind of thing. They just use the brown tea powder, pour it into the water, and then they just add some chemicals such as salt, They put those salt in the tea powder, and then they just pour it with a cup of hot water. During that time, a chemical reaction occurs. Some white bubbles begins to emerge during this process, and these kind of white bubble emerge, and the intellectuals during the Song Dynasty, they regarded this is a kind of appreciating the bubble and the tea, and they just use this chemical phenomenon as one of their games in terms of doing some tea competition. Yeah, how could they play? They just play by observing the everlasting changes of bubbles inside the tea, and then they regarded those bubbles who split out and who the bubbles broken, and then some white pigments just flow outside, and the bubble began to break, and the pattern of the central bubble began to fade out. They began to lose. No wonder they use white. They use black tea bowl to appreciate the white bubble. This is the point. These were the point of that they use such kind of beautiful black color tea bowl to appreciate the tea, or as well as for tea competition. Among those tea bowls discovered from Fujian district and also from the northern part of China, which imitates the Fujian one. The clear distinction is that in the Fujian one, they have black body. They have black body which can be found on the foot. And for the northern wear, we have the white body and the white foot, which is very distinctive. Yeah. Among these 5 bowls, I think this one is one of the most important cultural relics, yeah, or even in China. This is a kind of a national treasure, I think, just because we can see there's 2 words which was carved on the base during the manufacture process, which means 公寓 for imperial use. So this one, which was made as a tribute to the emperor in the Song dynasty. Yeah. It proved that even the emperor liked drinking a tea and observing and appreciating the tea bubbles when he got leisure time. Yeah, and also during the Song dynasty, we have some other ceramics such as the junware, guanyu, the junware which has a blue glaze with some very relatively abstract pattern inside. This kind of junware was discovered in the Henan region, near the Yangtze River, Yellow River, and these kind of things just inspire the nomadic tribes which control the northern part of China or even the Mongolian region. This is a kind of ceramics with 2 handles at the vessel, but the pattern I think was quite impressionist. Yeah, it is just like the Greek or Roman or even the contemporary art, fine arts, which was made. But I can't believe that it was made for over 1,000 years ago. Yeah, it was only served for the nomadic tribes, noblemen. Yeah, and they used them to carry some meat or some rice or some other wheat, some other things for their daily use. Yeah, and the last one I would like to introduce is a longchuan dish, a big bowl, a big longchuan bowl, which was made during the second part of the Ming Dynasty in 15th to 16th century. It was made by the Zhejiang craftsmen, and it was finally presented as a tribute by the emperor to the foreigners when they came to Beijing and they present. Some scholars may not agree with me until they discover the 2 words which was carved on the base of this big bowl, which says 君赐官旗. 官旗 means the Chinese character. 官旗 means presented by the emperor. In Chinese, qi this word was exclusively used by the emperor himself, only for the emperor. If I were the nobleman, I still cannot use the word qi. Present this word, this particular word was exclusively used by the emperor itself. Yeah. That's why this kind of thing was actually a present presented by the imperial court. And also, this one I acquired it from Japan, and during that time, regarded by my dealer's friend, he just told me this dish was the box carry this big bowl was actually made during Edo period, almost or even more, 200 years ago, and the same family keep this big bowl for over 4 to 5 generations. Yeah, even the newspaper that cover this big bowl was almost 50 years ago, more than half a century. So, to get this bowl, I think it was my pleasure to keep it and to do some detailed research regarding the history and why it finally came to Japan, but not other countries, and why the family in Edo period seriously kept this one. We still have many questions. Yeah, so I will use my time to work with many scholars to clarify its deep meaning. Yeah, and that's all for my presentation. And I would like to also give a very brief note at the bookshelf in this area. It has the illustrated catalog of the early Chinese pottery and porcelain. The Burlington Fine Arts Club was established by a number of big British collectors in London. Yeah, actually this Burlington Fine Arts building is now located in St. James region, in St. James in the city of London. In the year 1895, it was their first time to organize its first Chinese ceramics exhibition. During that time, in China, we still have emperor. We still have Jiangsu emperor. The year 1895 was a year that Chinese signed a treaty, 马关条约, with Japan after the Sino-Japanese War. Yeah, but in Britain they have high connoisseurship. They started to organize the first exhibition. In 1910, it was their first ceramic exhibition, and in 1911 they published this catalog. They still have in this book. They still have many pages printed and drilled and drawn in color pages. Yeah, in color. And also, I must admire the Japanese. They spend a lot of time to investigate, to do a number of research on the ceramic being discovered in China from Northern Qi period, Northern Qi, Bakcai, Northern Qi and the Northern and Southern dynasties. In the Chinese academic circle, so many scholars did a number of research on the famous dynasty, such as Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, but I regard it is inadequate to do such kind of detailed research in the divided period, divided dynasty, such as 5 dynasties or Northern and Southern dynasties. So we have to learn from the Japanese. In the Japanese, we have so many infamous period, but they still have a very advanced research, and very detailed research. And we can see some of my collections have been published, this bell as well as this glass, published by Japanese book and a British book about China, about their foreign arts. Yeah, and similar pieces can be found like this small ink stone, which can be found over there. This is a similar pieces which is now kept in the Imperial Palace Museum in Beijing. Yeah, so many things I would like to share, but of course the time is limited. And it is my pleasure again to be here, and I hope everyone will get enjoy of it and can, through this talk, which can inspire you by loving your country's great art history behind, and loving the world history as the stepping stone for your deeper knowledge. Thank you so much. Thank you.